Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, to the men on the highways and the byways that are pushing out this word in truth and sincerity, and to the remnant men, women, and children of the elect. To you all, I say Shalom. My name is Ahmawan, Ahyash, and I'm back with another lesson through the power and the spirit of Yahawah by Yahawashi. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I just wanted to do a land back off the elder bro, Ahmawan Gabar. He put this short up just to show the impact that these recent strikes of the United States and Israel, these strikes on Iran, the negative impact that it could have on the world, namely for with the oil trade, through the Strait of Hormuz and Iran shutting down the strait, where the majority of the world's oil flows through. All right, so all of these different nations are going to be impacted by this, as this video is going to illustrate, whether it be the UAE, Saudi Arabia, China, India, all these different nations are going to have, it's going to be affected big time by this. And ultimately it could raise gas prices and really have a major negative impact on the economies of these different nations around the world. Okay, and basically that's really the huge impact on war in general. When there's war, when there's major wars that's happening, the impact on the economy is massive, and the impact on the society is massive. And this is what we can expect in the days, weeks, and months to come. Lord willing, this is one of the events. Well, we know it is. This is one of the events that leads to full out World War III. Now, we know World War III won't take place before some of the other prophecies, which is the hour temptation, the mass implementation of the micro C-hip. Jacob's trouble will take place, and then World War III will happen. But there has to be events that lead up to it. These are the events that we're witnessing these last days. Kal Halal Yahawah by Yahawashi, for allowing prophecy to take place right in front of our eyes, allowing us, men of the Lord, to measure the times and report and prophesy, be the watchman for the elect of the nation of Israel. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to play this, and I got an article or two to back this up. Because we are in the last days of the last days. You know what I'm saying? And this is exciting times. We're excited about the end of Esau's rulership, the end of his kingdom. America, aka Babylon the Great. All right, so let me play this, and then we'll go from there.
So this is Iran, and this is the Strait of Hormuz. This is a 33-mile slit of water that nearly 20 million barrels a day travel through here. Now, this is critical because the United Arab Emirates, also Saudi Arabia, also Qatar, also Kuwait, Iraq, all of them rely on this little narrow strait here to get their oil out to the world. Now, if they're not able to get that out, because as of right now, Iran has closed this and has already attacked one oil tanker, nearly sinking it, so there is no more oil going out through here, you're going to have massive economic upheaval. You could see $150 to $200 a day. India, 85% export or import, 60% is coming from the Middle East. They will almost assuredly completely shut down. You'll see gas prices and economies just completely closed down. India is going to suffer. Now, we get a lot of stuff from India, so that means the United States prices are going to go up. But China is definitely going to suffer from this. They get 10 million barrels a day that they cannot replace. That's 40% of their imports. Now, they do have some stuff coming from Russia and Central Asia, but that only makes up about 10% of their daily needs. So now, again, China is going to suffer economically, and they're not just going to sit quietly and allow their economy to collapse because of the United States. Japan gets 90% of its needed oil from the Middle East. It could completely collapse and shut down. We could see an absolute collapse of Saudi Arabia. 80 to 90% go out through the Strait of Hormuz. Only 10% go out through the Red Sea. Therefore, you could see Saudi Arabia come to a screeching halt. No more money for the Saudi kingdom. And that could lead to an overthrow of the Saudi regime because the people only stay quiet because they get so much money from the Saudi government. If that's no longer coming in, the hatred for the Saudi government could uprise the people into full-fledged civil war. This is getting out of hand, guys. Comment down below. Stop this war.
And you notice he mentioned, this could result in full-fledged civil war. He was talking namely about Saudi Arabia, but think about how that could happen here in America, right? Because he said that the people are only satisfied or happy or quiet, right, about their government when they're getting money from their government. I mean, there's no reason for them to uprise, but once a society and this economy collapses, that's all the reason to have a civil war or to break out in the streets or to have riots or, for people to not be quiet anymore. Okay, and we know that's coming to America. We know that's coming to Babylon the Great. We've seen the gradualism happen just in terms of the collapsing of the dollar. Okay, we've seen the decrease in value of this currency due to its debt, due to the mass printing of dollars. We've seen these other nations start to move away from doing business on a level that it has because of the lack of value that the dollar has. Now, you got these BRICS nations who are, more and more nations are starting to join the BRICS as a way to move away from the dollar. Okay? They don't want the dollar to be the dominant currency or the reserve currency anymore. So this is all a part of America, Babylon the Great, losing its empire falling, which is all prophesied. All right? This place is falling. This place is crumbling right in front of our eyes. Really quick, I just thought of, let me just get a quick precept since I thought of it. Because there's going to come a time where this is going to result in full-out war because America's not going to have any choice in the matter. They're going to have to go into war once, it's, once these nations start to feel like they're backed into a corner, right? If America keeps trying to go into these nations and destabilize these nations and their economies and their currencies and, go in and try to steal their resources and so-called have regime change, quote unquote, right? And that's just, that whole regime change thing is just a way or justification to go in there to, steal resources, steal oil, get other natural resources from these lands because they're rich in these natural resources. All right. This is what America does. They're the bullies of the earth. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is a bully. You know? This is Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been the golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Right? If you read it in the NLT, verse 9, it says, we would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. Okay, so nothing can save America, Babylon the Great. That's why you see all these desperate moves being made. All right? Nothing can save the American dollar. Okay? Nothing. The Lord has it where America would have its empire for a certain amount of time, and on July 4th, 2026 will mark the 250-year so-called anniversary of America's establishment. All right? Its so-called independence. All right? And we know empires usually last only about 250 years. And this is it for America. This is it. You know, that gradual decline of the gradual decline that we've seen of America, of Babylon the Great, is gonna turn into a full out just collapse. All right? It says we would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. Let her go. Abandon her. Return now to your own land, for her punishment reaches to the heavens. It is so great it cannot be measured. Right? So the Lord has set bounds for Esau, Edom, and its empire. Right? The punishment for Esau, Edom is here. For being so evil and wicked. And causing so much death and destruction and terror upon the world. All right? Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right? Let me get this article to back up the video I just played. The video that the elder brother Ahmawan Gabar posted. It said, this is from CBS News. This was from yesterday, March 2nd, 2026. It says, gas prices are set to rise amid U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. Here's what you could pay at the pump. American motorists could soon pay more at the pump amid spiking oil prices due to the U.S.-Israel attacks on Iran, with experts predicting gasoline prices could rise sharply this week. The price of West Texas Intermediate crude, a type of oil primarily produced in the U.S., jumped 6.2% on Monday to $71 per barrel, according to the data from FactSet. Brent crude, the international benchmark, surged nearly 9%. You know, which is a huge percentage, to $79.31 per barrel on Monday, its highest point in more than 1 year. Okay. Gas prices in the U.S. could start moving higher as soon as Monday. All right, and that was yesterday, according to Gas Buddy petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan, who predicted that some gas stations could be charging as much as 30 cents more per gallon by the end of the week. It says brace for gradual increases. The projected increase would come after fuel costs had already edged higher this year on concern about flaring tensions between the U.S. and Iran. On Monday, gas prices averaged about $3 per gallon across the U.S., about 20 cents higher than at the start of January, according to data from the AAA. All right. Yeah, so that's it. So that's the point, you know. Whenever you have war, whenever you have, you know, tensions like this, it cuts off, you know, there's always supply chain issues. There's always, you know, this in particular, because it's Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and it's such an important key passageway, so to speak, for oil to get in and out from all the way from from East Asia through the Middle East up into Europe. It's just an important strait, But again, this is not by mistake. This isn't happenstance. This is the will of Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi. The Lord has planned this thing out perfectly. When it comes to prophecy and when it comes to, how things will take place, how America will end up eventually, falling, its economy will collapse, a famine will hit, Jacob's trouble, all these different things. This is perfectly scripted by Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi. All right. And what more can you ask for in these last days, man? But this evil, wicked empire to be destroyed. All right, and the Lord can usher in World War III. The Lord can usher in the kingdom of heaven. Ultimately, send His only begotten Son back to deliver the elect. Because that's all we're waiting for. We're waiting for deliverance, man. Waiting to get out of here. This book of 1 Thessalonians. I recently just brought this out in the last lesson, but this is one of them precepts that I'm gonna be bringing out almost every lesson, because we're close to this being a real reality. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travaileth upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Right? So again, America has been a golden cup, because things have always been, America has always found a way to get themselves out of trouble. These Americans have always been comfortable and at ease, because America has always found a way to get out of it. This last pandemic is an example of that. And that was a global thing. That was a global pandemic. But it was unprecedented. It was something that we haven't seen in our lives before. And everybody was all shook up about it. But those of us, hopeful members of the elect, we were excited about it. We were excited about what that was going to bring forth. And we're happy that it had the type of impact that it had on the world, because that was a moment, with Esau, Edom, and it's coming out now that was a test. The pandemic was a test to see the reaction of people, and also to get that, get that snake poison in you. All right. Because when Esau turned on the jets, we're going to see a different type of impact that thing has had. It ain't the impact of the pandemic and that snake poison that people took, it's going to rear its ugly head very soon. All right. And people think they out of the woods with these type of plagues and pestilences. You're not. Esau got hell prepared for this world, man. But you could bet your ass, man, that something else is gonna come. Another plague, another disease or pestilence is gonna come and have people in straits, man. Because we dealing with the absolute devil here. All right? This man ain't on the up and up. This is the wicked. This is the man that the Heavenly Father Yahweh has set up as the wicked on the earth. All right? And he's in this perfect element. He's in his bag as the wicked. Only the elect is going to be delivered from this. Verse 4, 1 Thessalonians 5:4 says, "But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief, you know? So again, Kal Halal Yahawah for giving us the light, which is this word, is this truth, and bringing us out of the darkness. Okay, because if you're in darkness, if you're asleep, and you're not paying attention to these events and these matters that are taking place here in America, globally, if you just brushing off what just happened in Iran, and you don't know what's going on, you're not going to know what to expect and the impact that this is going to have in the upcoming months. You know, what if I mean, as at the moment, this is just aerial. This is just an aerial attack. What happens if they got to put boots on the ground? You know, then this turns into a different type of war, where China, Russia, all these different nations have to get involved now. Syria, you know, all these different type of nations have to get involved now. And these are the nations that are going to have the major impact and are going to be the major players in World War III. All right. The mass implementation of the MOTB is near. All right. So when these strikes are not something that you just brush off. I brought this out of one of my last couple of lessons, the negative impacts of war on a society, right? And I'll just skim through them real quick. It's lucky for the beeping. I'm actually outside my car right now doing the lesson. But it says physical and mental health crisis, right? Economic collapse and poverty, which is what we're going into. Destruction of critical infrastructure like power grids, water treatment, and transportation networks. And this is something that can happen amidst this war, you know. The power grid could be attacked, you know. Water treatment, transportation networks is a disruption of trade, which we just went into. The Strait of Hormuz being cut, that's a disruption of trade, right? Loss of livelihood, soaring inflation, hyperinflation as a result of cutting off the strait, as a result of supply chain issues, right? Deepen long-term poverty as capital, stock, factories, farms are destroyed, causing the economy to regress. What does that remind you of? All right. Let me go to 2 Ezra 15. Right? I'll get straight to the point. 2 Ezra 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? When these supply chain issues take place. Okay? And as it was put here, the disruption of trade happens, that could lead to a famine. All right. If the trucks ain't getting the imports, if they're not getting food off the ships, and the trucks ain't got no way to bring the food to the supermarkets, there's gonna be great tribulation due to a lack of bread. All right. And again, Yahawashi has this set up perfectly. All right. And the Wadi Yahawashi for bringing these judgments upon America, upon Babylon the Great, giving us the eyes to see, giving us the ears to hear, giving us the light, the truth, bringing us out of the darkness, because it's over for this place. All right. You know what the scriptures say, 2 Ezra 6 and 22. And suddenly the sown places shall appear And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. All right. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall suddenly be afraid. At the time when people find out, when they go to the grocery stores and there's no food, there's nothing to get for their family, that's when the real panic happens. That's when the real panic happens. Okay? And we hope and pray Yahawashi brings this forth sooner than later. All right? So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you were edified. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops, the great Millstone who do well. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.